Yeah, hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Bitcoin currently at 45.8k, pretty much just above the level where, when we broke out here last Sunday, this was the level where I told you that above that level, my then alternative scenario will become my primary scenario. And this is the one that you can see here on the chart, where I assume that from here we have now more space to the upside and can get into the region between 55 and 65k. The minimum it needs to do to complete this scenario would be the 51k level. So that is actually not far away. Oh, that line moved. No, it should be 51k. That is the first Fibonacci retracement level that is relevant for that movement. And however, Bitcoin so far, since it broke above that level, obviously failed to break above the 200-day moving average. And it really seems to be a very, very strong resistance for Bitcoin. Hasn't managed to do it. And also Bitcoin is still in this ascending channel, which, you could even call it a huge bear flag. However, it is still in this channel and currently just retesting that 45.8k level from above. Now, that in itself is not a problem at all. The retest of 45.8k is actually very healthy, but the way the chart looks, it has failed. Obviously, I mean, it did a retest here and it actually moved down to 45.5k, which is fine. But since then, it has failed to make a higher high. So it's actually making lower highs, which is not exactly great. And then we talked about this symmetrical triangle here, and we can see that the price, and for that I go to the 1 hour chart, the price very, very briefly here, or very recently, broke out of that triangle to the downside, moved all the way up to, or down, sorry, to 45.1k, is now moving up. And just want to say, it's retesting that former support level as resistance. You can see that. And when it touched it now at 45.9, it has found resistance again. So it could just be a retest of that level from below, and that would be fairly bearish. And the bearish price target for that triangle is taking us all the way to around here 43.9k. That would be the bearish price target for that triangle, roughly. I mean, there are always different ways of how you can measure that up. We could take it from here, that would then be a bit larger, and it would actually take us a bit lower, maybe to 43.7k. So it is very, very unclear at the moment, because Bitcoin is still here in a decision phase. So below, I would say below the 200-day moving average, or actually below that level here, which is now moving further away from the 200-day moving average, actually, this ascending channel, which is now at 49k. Until we get above that, I think Bitcoin remains obviously caught in this channel here. So it needs to move above that level. I mean, the 200-day moving average will be a very, very important first step. But then if it doesn't manage to do it, it is a big risk that it could roll over here. This here is an important support zone here between 44.5k and 45.5k. Very important support zone. If it's losing that, the next support will be at 42.6, 42.7k. And if it drops below that, I'm going to make my current alternative scenario to the primary scenario, and that is this scenario that we're going to sell off here straight away. That is still possible, but it became much less likely as we broke above 45.8k. And you can see that from the perspective of that scenario with the immediate sell-off, the current that current level here is currently just protecting it. I mean, we are currently still above that 45.8k level. You can see how relevant that level actually is. That is the level where last Sunday we broke above quite strongly, just before the weekly candle close, and especially yesterday as well. Yesterday we had also here the Sunday or the weekly candle close, and there was a fake out this time. The price just before the candle close moved all the way up to 47.5k, broke out of this triangle to the upside. I was sleeping at the time, but I saw it in the morning, a lot of messages about, we can you update Bitcoin because it broke to the upside? But actually it was a fake out, and that is so important, why I always say wait for a 4-hour candle close, because this was not a 4-hour candle close above it, it was just a wick. However, to the downside here, we've seen that 4-hour candle close, retested it now, and now we see the first red candle, but we don't see a lot of selling volume. So generally the market is very quiet at the moment. And to be honest, it could even be that this again will be an extended triangle here. So we have to change the shape of that triangle again. Absolutely possible, because now you can see touch point, touch point, touch point. So actually, and it makes me think that because we haven't seen the volume, if you're not seeing the volume, then, and you know, you can still draw a triangle, then probably you have to change the triangle. That is why these patterns are sometimes so difficult. So at the moment, still a period of making higher lows and lower highs overall. So we have to wait until Bitcoin really makes that decisive move. I mean, it's good to see that we see a little bit of volatility at the moment. It certainly keeps it a bit more interesting. But yeah, I think there is not really a decision until we break above that 200-day moving average. So just to repeat, very important levels to look at. First of all, here that triangle, obviously, yeah. But then the key support here is 45.8 is the first one, and then just the 45.5K, and then 44.5K, and then 42.7. And to the upside, here is the 200-day moving average at 48.3K, and above that channel resistance, and that is today at 49K. And yeah, that is pretty much Bitcoin. So we just need to be a bit more patient, as always, until Bitcoin really makes a decisive move here. I mean, overall, if you take a look at that here in an uptrend, yeah, and then you see that triangle, and it would indicate, you know, that this is a trend continuation pattern. So the chances are high that we actually move up here, higher than not, yeah. But again, there are different ways of drawing this triangle. As I just showed you, in one variant, it has actually broken the triangle to the downside. But if you then adjust the triangle, it still seems like that we are still in the triangle, and we're just consolidating down after a fairly long uptrend. And if we take a look at the indicators, there is now a risk that we get on the daily this bearish crossover, and this could push the price further down. So whenever you see such a bearish crossover, it actually is, as the name suggests, quite bearish. So we need to be a bit more patient and really see and wait until the market decides in which direction Bitcoin is going to move. I did anticipate a stronger move up after we broke above 45.8K. Bitcoin is struggling, yeah. So therefore, just here in this triangle, we need to be a bit more patient. So hopefully you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.